Welcome back to Cosmosis or whatever. I'm your host, Celia, aka Celia Marie 1243. I am a fairy, a psychic medium, a healer, spiritual mentor, facilitator of things that will help you heal your spirit, heal your soul, clear your karma. And that's what we're talking about today. This podcast is all about exploring life and understanding that everything is connected and how that notion helps us live our best lives. And so this episode is part 2 about timeline jumping. So if you have not checked out that first part of timeline jumping, definitely check that out first for a little bit of context. We're going to be talking more about timeline jumping and just like exactly what that means, and how that's related to clearing karma, and how if you are timeline jumping, if you are on your highest path, what that might look like and feel like for you. Some of you guys are doing it on accident. Some of you guys have maybe set the intention to be on your highest timeline and not even realized it. And you could be experiencing a lot of this stuff. So I really would like to get this out to you. Or if you feel like you would like to clear out your karma, right? If you want to, heal, do what you need to do. A lot of people talk to me about, trying to make sure that this is their last incarnation on earth. A lot of people say, oh, I'm sick of earth. I want to get out. I want to just be a spirit guide. I want to return to source. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's great. But a lot of us are dealing with lifetimes of karma that we still need to clear. And it's definitely possible, from my understanding, that we could do that. So we're going to go deeper into part 2. In part 2, we're going deeper into what happened when I timeline jumped to my highest path. And then I'm also going to share with you guys some downloads that I received about it since last time, which has been really cool. So, basically what I was talking about with timeline jumping is how everything went nuts. Let me warn you, if you are asking to be on your highest timeline, it is not for the faint of heart. Okay, this is not something to mess around with. I even debated talking about this. A lot of the topics that I cover or experience in my own life, I really debate telling people about, because I don't necessarily want to say it's dangerous, but I take it very seriously, because when you are putting energy in these types of things, the universe is going to deliver. You know what I'm saying? It's not just a joke or something to take lightly, because when I tell you I connected with my higher self and I asked to be on my highest timeline, so much trauma came up for me and has continued to come up for me. And I am someone who works very closely with my spirit guides. I've gotten a new round of spirit guides, by the way. If you guys want to hear about my new spirit guides, let me know. I can make a podcast episode, or maybe we could talk about it on TikTok or a YouTube video. But I know a lot of you guys knew my spirit guides, like Light Being Carl or Klaus and stuff like that. But I have a whole new round of guides, which is really cool. And if you guys want to learn more about spirit guides, how they switch out and stuff like that, let me know. But yeah, so one of the downloads that I actually received since recording the last podcast episode was about karma and how timeline jumping happens. And I've been helping a lot of you guys do that in your personal sessions, right? Over this past week, I've been doing energy healing for a lot of you guys, where we are asking for them to be on their highest timeline, and we are connecting in with spirit guides, past lives, several dimensions at a time. It's like a shamanic journey stuff. Listen, that's not what the episode is about, but child, it's a lot. And just know that a lot of stuff is coming up, and you don't have to necessarily do it on purpose. I'm saying a lot of you guys have been doing this on accident, or it's just time. You know what I mean? Divine timing is definitely at play here. A lot of your spirit guides have been pushing you to do this, possibly, especially if you have been seeing the numbers 444 and 321, because it is 321 on my clock. And right before I saw it, it was 444 on this recording. So that being said, if you have been thinking, maybe I should shift to my highest timeline to clear out some karma, not some, like as much as possible, then this is probably a message to you from spirit. So, I actually want to talk to you guys about this download that I got. And we know that not all downloads happen during meditation, and I have been meditating on it, and I have gotten a lot of downloads through that. But something else is that you can get messages from just about anywhere. These messages that I got, that I'm about to explain to you, I got from a book. This is a really good book that I really love. It is called Karma. Go fig. Karma, A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny. And so before I've had this book for a little while now. My habit, or, what I do with books usually is I don't read them right away, front to cover. I'm not that person. I'm very much ADHD. And so how I use books is a lot of times if I feel drawn to a book, I will use the book as almost like an oracle deck, the same way you would shuffle through an oracle deck and pick one card or a couple cards. Same thing I do with a book. I will shuffle, or sometimes I will channel a number that spirit needs me to go to. And I go from there, right? And just let my intuition guide. And that is exactly what I did. So yeah, this book, Karma, A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny, is by Sadhguru. It is in my Amazon store. I think you guys, if you have been wanting to know more about karma, clearing karma, this is a great book for that. I think in the West, we have a really skewed perspective of what karma actually is, what it means, and how to deal with it. So highly recommend. It's in my Amazon store, which is in my link tree. But before I get into what I got from the book, check this out. So back to business. This book that I was, I went to page 146. Okay, page 146 and 147, which is funny because I had been seeing 147, and I had also been seeing the word karma just like randomly. And that's how I knew I needed to read this book. So I'm going to read you, I don't know how much of it I'm going to read, however much spirit feels like I need to put out there. But I'm going to read you a part of this, and is directly, when I tell you is directly connected to what's been going on with the timeline jumping and karma clearing. It connects a lot of dots, okay? So it says, spirituality and fast forward karma. When you consciously seek freedom from karma through a spiritual practice, you are essentially on fast forward. When you churn up your inner life, certain dimensions of your karma come to the fore. At such junctures, it's possible to experience intense pain or discomfort, because child, it's been discomfort, okay? Of course, this could mean that you have contracted some ailment, but frequently, this is just your past karma surfacing and manifesting itself in one way or another. The whole point of the spiritual process is to take on more of a karmic load than you're allotted one in order to finish off as much as possible. It means you do not want to keep repeating the same cycles again and again. So if you are in an active spiritual process, you may find everything moving at a bewildering pace. Physical troubles that used to beset you every 6 months are now coming up every 6 hours. This is only because you have chosen to work out your karma as soon as possible. You are choosing not to live in a sanitized life that regards spirituality as mere placidity. If your karma were to unwind slowly, it would probably create small aches over a long period of time. But the fast forward of karma often means you might experience intense pain fleetingly. Many people have become less alive and less joyful, and their lives slower and more apathetic because they experience low-level pain for stretches of time. A spiritual journey simply cranks up this process so what might have spread over 3 months or a year happens in a few minutes. So timeline jumping, Hello, is that not timeline jumping? Please. Okay, like he doesn't say it's timeline jumping, but we can, deduce that. It's important to allow this fast forward karmic process to happen. Do not suppress it. It is wisest to let your physical body burn up your allotted karma as soon as possible. So especially for a lot of you who have been dealing with like spiritual, not spiritual, they are spiritual, but if you've been dealing with physical ailments, maybe rashes. Hello, I've been getting like rashes, hives randomly. I've dealt with some clients who are also experiencing the same. Maybe you are just getting like really sick, or you feel really, really tired. All of those, especially if you're listening to this, could be a sign that you are releasing a lot of karma, right? Karma is energy. Energy manifests in different ways, and some of those ways might be physical. Okay, so it says, it's wisest to let your physical body burn up your allotted karma as soon as possible. I also just saw 333. It says the basis of Hatha yoga is just this, because this part of the book is about yoga. But it says you learn to handle pain in the same way as you handle pleasure. Ooh, that's a word. Okay. If you learn this, you achieve an equanimity. Okay. The word was dashed. Don't at me. You achieve an equanimity that will carry you beyond the turbulence of the karmic process. That's beautiful. Okay. So honestly, what I get from that, and something that I had been telling people anyway, the main download that I was receiving from my guides about how to deal with these shifts, because some of you guys are shifting and on your highest timeline and you didn't even ask for it, but that's just what needed to happen on your path right now for whatever reason. Grounding yourself is going to be really, really, really important, right? So yeah, if you want to learn more about that, definitely get this book. It was just 444. Again, your ancestors feel like they're coming through trying to give you a little nudgy nudge. But yeah, it just, is that not nuts? Like I told you, I can't remember whether I channeled a number or, if I just flipped a book, if I flipped the book open to like a random page and it was that. But that's exactly what it was about. And I'm like, it makes sense. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that have been coming up for me besides those physical ailments that I just talked about. So after, again, if you listen to the last episode, after I found out that I couldn't go on this trip anymore, there was a lot of money issues that were coming up, right? So money consciousness, my relationship with money has also been, that's always been something that I've struggled with, right? Right now my nails are red. I'm dealing with my root chakra. If you're having money issues, if you have a lack mindset around money, your root chakra, that's where that's coming from. I think poverty consciousness has been a thing for me in several lifetimes, not just this one. So that is like the idea that, even if you're not actually poor, you feel that way and you feel like you are not able to accomplish things. You feel like you do not have the stability that it would take for you to manifest and, have the wealth or, even just the stability. It doesn't even have to be like in excess, but you just feel like you don't deserve it for whatever reason. There's a lot of layers that could happen. So, but that's basically what it is. And so a lot of that stuff has been coming up for me lately. I've been super focused on my root chakra, super trying to understand my relationship with money. A really good book that I recommend for that for my book readers, or even, if you guys like listening to audiobooks, it's also on audiobook. I have it on audiobook. It is called It's Not Your Money by Tosha Silver. And it basically talks about how money doesn't really belong to anybody. It's honestly just energy that's floating out there in the universe. It belongs to God, or, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I think it's all the same thing. So it talks about that. And she gives you like prayers and things to align yourself with this level of consciousness that helps you understand that you don't have to worry about it being your money. It's meant to flow. It's meant to change hands. You're not supposed to be greedy with it. It's supposed to flow. So if that interests you, definitely check that out. I believe it's also in my Amazon store. Really, really good one too. So yeah, that's something that I've been dealing with, and it's been in a lot of aggressive ways, especially after I said I wanted to be on my highest timeline, right? Very, very aggressive ways it's been popping up for me, like me being scared of things, me being challenged, right? You're going to be pushed when you're jumping timelines and you're dealing with this karma. Spirit is going to throw it at you like a damn curveball. Okay, like 110 miles per hour. It's going to be a lot, and chances are, like the book was kind of talking about, like it's going to happen simultaneously. You know, it's not just going to be like, oh, here's one thing and then here's another after. Like, it's going to be simultaneous. So that's one thing that I've been dealing with personally. Some of you guys probably are as well. Another thing I have been dealing with is my sexuality. So for those of you guys who don't know, I am bisexual. I knew that very, very early on in my life. And, you know, I think there's been a lot of reflection for me understanding masculine energy versus feminine energy, how that kind of plays into sexuality for everyone, not just people who are, you know, queer. That might need to be a whole episode by itself, and if you guys want to hear more about it, let me know. But yeah, I've been dealing a lot with my own sexuality, especially as it relates to like my family, right? So if you're here, you're probably a generational curse breaker like myself. And generational curse breakers, the thing about us is we are different usually than everybody in our family. There might be a couple per family, but a lot of times, you know, it's going to feel pretty lonely. I'm the oldest out of 5 girls. And like I said, being bisexual is something, you know, at this point, I honestly don't even know if I'm bisexual, or I have actually been looking into whether I have, what is the term? There's a term for it called, I think it's called compulsive heterosexuality or something like that. Somebody check me on that if I'm not saying it correctly. But I had looked at it a while ago, and it's basically this idea that people are only straight or heterosexual because that's like the norm, right? That's what everybody pushes out there. And it's like, if you, or in my case, for example, I had crushes when I was like really young, on like my teachers, my friends, whatever. But I would always hear my parents or other people say that it was disgusting, that it was gross, that it was, you know, not right. It was a sin, yada, yada, yada. And so you can imagine that would be very confusing for a young girl trying to figure out her sexuality and like what that meant for me. So that's something that I have definitely been dealing with a lot, understanding my sexuality and really just having to confront my parents in a way. Like I said, I think that might be a whole different episode if y'all want to hear about that, because I'm open to talking about it. But that definitely had a lot to do with me being on my highest timeline. That's karma that I need to clear. I also need to do some, it's 11:11 on the clock. I need to do some past life reading for myself. I have been doing a lot lately because I've been getting all those new guides and stuff. But I think by doing some of my past life, by doing some of my past life readings for myself, I'm going to be able to find out what karma I'm working with. So if you guys are struggling with what karma it is that you're working with, how you can clear it, definitely let me know. If you are wanting to look into your past lives and see how that karma relates, definitely hit me up. You guys know where to find me on the website. Today I had a session where I dealt with somebody who had a past life as a slave. I should have done a trigger warning before that, but yeah, I've dealt with a couple of clients with that same experience. And it's funny because I just saw 1212, and that is the number that we also saw during her reading. But she dealt there's a couple lifetimes that we went through, but one of the main ones that we were clearing a lot of karma with is this lifetime as a slave. And she had a partner, a soulmate that she recognized in this life, and basically they went through the same exact thing in that life, that past life, as they are in this life, just in different ways, right? Where the gist of the story is, or that lifetime, I guess. I say story because I look at it like it's a movie. That's how it happens when I read past lives. But you'll know that it's not just something I'm making up by the way that it'll relate to your life, because I didn't know this stuff about her life. But basically, it was like he was killed, basically, and that kind of was bringing up feelings of like detachment, not really being able to commit with somebody. Also, you know, back in the slavery times, Black people did not necessarily have a way to legally get married. You weren't allowed to legally wed as a slave, so jumping the broom was a way that they would show their commitment for each other. So we saw that, but how that's manifesting for her in this lifetime is that they are not actually in a relationship, nor have they ever actually been in a relationship or married. They act like it, and they have been dealing with each other for the past 10 years, but they have not made any real commitment to each other. And part of that is because they are carrying the burden from this past life. There's also some energy of her losing a child that we dealt with, and we cleared out some of that energy, which is good. But yeah, all of that to say, your past lives can tell you a lot about the karma that you're moving. You don't necessarily have to know, but a lot of the karma that we're clearing out isn't from this life. It's from multiple lifetimes. And there's something going on right now, like, you know, the golden age or whatever this age is called, baby, like where spirit is just like, all right, like y'all trying to do it? Let's do it. Let's clear it out. So the opportunity is there. And if you've been feeling the itch for it, definitely dive into your Akashic records. If you need help, I can help you. Also, I feel like I need to say there's something about solar flares and the way that like the cosmos, the way that like celestial bodies are moving, the sun, there's been a lot of solar flares. There's been a lot of crazy like Schumann resonance going on. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Which is also affecting these timeline jumping things. And that was actually a download that I got on live a while ago. Some of you guys might have seen it, but if you didn't, that's a little hint, tip thing for you guys to look into if you feel like you need to. And I also just saw 1515. But on that note, that is more about timeline jumping, what it is, and if you feel like you need to do it, do it. Just know what it entails. It's all gonna come crashing, right? Like all of that stuff that I mentioned, like there's more than that too. There's a lot with like relationships and trust issues and, you know, learning how to be happy and learning how not to be driven by trauma. That might actually be an episode later too. Lots of content to be made. So hopefully this has given you guys a little bit of insight, let you guys know if timeline jumping, if being on your highest path is something that you would like to do. It's what I'm all about. So let me know if you need help. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.